The great King Parakramabahu of Lanka has emerged from bloody beginnings, as we have explored in the previous 3 episodes. The fierce Queen Sugala of Runa has been defeated, many smaller rebellions crushed, and Lanka has grown in stature as a major trading point for rare commodities. Traders consider Lanka's cities to be the most comfortable and modern, and urban development around the island is legendary. Under his reign, the people of Lanka are enjoying a considerably higher standard of living than under Vijayabahu. 8 long years have passed since his coronation as the supreme monarch, and his fame has grown. International trade and relationships are flourishing, but with relationships comes conflict. During his reign, Parakramabahu racked up quite the stat sheet. He constructed or renovated 165 dams, 3,910 canals, 163 large and 2,376 smaller tanks. His service towards Lanka's irrigation and agriculture remains unmatched to this day. But his best work remains the ocean he dug up in the center of the country. His flagship project was creating a super irrigation tank by connecting 5 lesser ones. To this day, the vast reservoir is a sight to behold and an engineering marvel covering 5,900 acres that diverts, catches, and preserves that single ever precious resource, water. The Parakrama Samudra measures 8.5 miles long with a depth of over 40 feet, and it irrigates the equivalent of 18,200 acres of paddy fields. By now, Lanka is a strong trading point with a flourishing export and re-export trade. The relationship between Lanka and Bagan, that is modern-day Burma, precedes the reign of Parakramabahu, but under the king it has reached a zenith of closeness. Bagan was a Theravada Buddhist kingdom, following the same doctrine of Buddhism that prevailed in Lanka. But ties crossed diplomatic, financial and cultural lines, and Parakramabahu has developed a close kinship with Alaun Situ, the pious leader of Bagan. The Bagan leader receives aid from Parakramabahu in the form of men and resources, and in return, Alaun Situ had a tradition of gifting elephants for the Lankan ships that arrived in support of Burma. In 1167 AD, Prince Naratu takes over after his father Alaung Situ is killed. Legend has it that Naratu was affiliated closely with a mysterious Lankan advisor, said to be deeply hostile towards the king of Lanka. Naratu began his career by making a strong affront to Lanka. The Bagan Empire sold elephants to Lanka at what was originally 30 silver coins. With immediate effect, Lankans would have to pay 1,000 silver coins per elephant. This effectively stopped the elephant trade. He went a step further. He proceeded to capture, torture and murder Sinhala traders, looting and sinking their ships. But to spare long-standing diplomatic relations between the countries, Parakramabahu did not retaliate. Then Naratu sent a letter to Parakramabahu, informing him that ties between Lanka and Bagan are severed, and even has the audacity to ask for a written guarantee that Parakramabahu wouldn't retaliate if Sinhalese traders harboring in Bagan were killed. Adding insult to injury, captured Sinhalese sailors were sent back from Bagan to Lanka in a leaky vessel. Soon afterwards, a Sinhalese princess, while en route to her wedding in Cambodia, is captured as it journeys past Bagan. Her convoy is attacked, her wedding gifts looted, and the princess is even molested. Parakramabahu is furious. It is said that Naratu was deeply unpopular even in Bagan, and that he couldn't control his violent outbursts. Parakramabahu begins to do what no man in his position has done before. He spends 5 months building a massive fleet of battleships. The Chulavamsa says that the fleet was so large in number and size that it looked like a traveling island. This is the first recorded military navy in Sri Lankan history. The Bagan specialized in using elephants for battle, so Parakramabahu had his archers equipped with improved arrows designed to kill elephants. There were thousands of sealed cow horns carrying medicines for various illnesses, and rations aplenty with food and water for many months. Led by the famous General Damiladikarin and Nagaragiri Kitti, The fleet reaches Bagan through tropical thunderstorms. By now, Naratu is worried. He hears about the armada heading his way. Naratu tried to send the envoys to sign a treaty with Parakramabahu in a desperate attempt at peacemaking, but is ignored by an enraged king. Legend has it that Parakramabahu's army kills Naratu and ends his reign, but some historians dispute this. Parakramabahu then marches into Kusumia, the heart of Bagan on elephant back, in a showy display of victory. He then leaves General Nagaragiri in charge temporarily. Bagan would be an administrative region of Lanka for a short time. Soon after, Parakramabahu appointed an heir of Alaung Situ to the throne, ceding the land of Bagan and freeing it from Lanka. Friendship with Bagan is restored and all is well in the world again. But why have one foreign invasion when you can have two? Around the same time, the ruler of the Pandyan kingdom of India, called Parakrama Pandya in honor of the king of Lanka himself, reached out to Lanka to help quell an imminent Chola coup led by Kulasekara Pandya. The Pandyas were a dynasty of South India and one of the several ethnically Dravidian lineages including the Cholas. The Chola were frequent aggressors in Lanka and Parakramabahu had a strong allegiance to those who would be victimized by them. But Lankan help arrives too late in the southeast Indian land of the Pandya. When Parakramabahu's generals Lankapura and Jagatvijaya reach the Pandyan cities, Parakrama Pandya and his entire family are already killed. Kulasekara Pandya with his army of Cholas assume control of the land. Parakramabahu's troops still managed to overthrow the Cholas and return the throne to a rightful Pandyan heir. They even captured the city of Rameswaram and rename it Parakramapura. The region would surprisingly remain under Sinhala rule for a brief period, and citizens were even made to use Lankan currency. But the generals Lankapura and Jagatvijaya were killed brutally and their heads nailed to the gates of Madura. Back home, towards the end of his storied reign, general consensus remains that King Parakramabahu's were the golden years. His works are a sight to behold even after passing of many centuries. His palace, the Vijayantha Prasada, is a 7-storied building with 1,000 rooms. Under his reign, Buddhism had a revival. He enshrined and fed the spiritual needs of a nation by building great monuments to their devotion. He worked tirelessly to preserve the Theravada doctrines and conducted a sorting of Buddhist clergy to separate the truly pious from the corrupt. For a sect of monks who sought to live more layman-like lives with wives and children, Parakramabahu instituted a monthly pension if they would leave the clergy, introducing what was possibly one of the earliest known voluntary retirement schemes. It was tradition to perform Tulabara, the giving away of gold from the royal treasury in king's weight to the peasantry, and he did this with more frequency towards the end of his reign. The economy and public sector that he created was so large that he left a legacy of high state expenditure for all those who succeeded him. But expensive wars and a plummeting of agricultural yields marked the start of a possible recession in the land towards the end of his reign. The currency was debased and silver replaced with inexpensive metal coinage. Taxes were raised and lands were repossessed, but in consultation with the clergy, Parakramabahu made a supreme effort to minimize hardships. His successors each had to conduct a program of land return and reform, and the economy needed stimulus through tax relief. King Parakramabahu's health was failing due to a fatal heart disease, and he knew his time was up. He gathered the princes of the kingdoms and appointed Vijayabahu II, his own son, to be his successor. At the age of 53, after 33 years of reign, surrounded by clergy and friends, King Parakramabahu would pass on from this life to the next. Today, massive warships of the Sri Lankan Navy are named in his honor, and his military strategies are considered to be essential training. But most importantly, in the heart of Polonnaruwa, among the ruins of the old kingdom, there still stands the statue of Mahaparakramabahu the Great in all its glory, tall, imposing with a jaunty and confident tilt of the hip, under which is written his most famous quote, that most Sri Lankans now know by heart. Every single drop of water that comes from the sky must not flow into the ocean without being used. This had been the journey of Parakramabahu the Great, the king with the enemy-crushing arms. Catch us next week as we uncover another tale of Sri Lankan history.